Friends, today I am here to discuss about an article, growth. First I will discuss about the definition. The definition of growth is, it is defined as increase in plant volume or mass with or without formation of new structures such as organs, tissues, cells or cell organelles. The second point that I would like to start here with primary growth. Whenever we are starting with the term growth, there is always primary growth, and the meaning of primary growth is the growth that takes place from the tips of roots or shoots that leads to the length or the increase in length of the plant parts, and that is what the meaning of a primary growth. The next point that I would like to discuss is about secondary growth. Now, after completion of primary growth, there is need of the plant or need of an individual plant to go for the next stage of growth, and that is known as secondary growth. It means after completion of primary growth only there is secondary growth, and the secondary growth is possible only because of the formation of cambium. Now that cambium leads to formation of new cells. Now if we are interested in studying the structures of primary and secondary structures, we should know about what exactly is the normal secondary growth, and then we will go for the abnormal secondary growth. Now here I will try to show you the secondary growth. As just now I have mentioned, the secondary growth is possible only because of the formation of cambium, and we have an example of sunflower where we can see the normal secondary growth, and this is possible in the vascular structures. Now where it is, so for that we have to go for the anatomical details of mature sunflower stem. Now if suppose this is outline of sunflower stem, and these are the primary structures such as primary xylem followed by primary phloem. Now what happens is, at this place some of the cells of xylem and some cells of phloem, especially the cells of xylem from outer side and cells from phloem from inner side, group together and they adds the cells, and the activity of this is meristematic, and this is known as cambium. This cambium is meristematic in activity. It has very rapid rate of cell divisions. As a result of that, there is addition of cells, and the cells produced towards the xylem are known as secondary xylem, and the cells produced towards the phloem, that is towards outer side in the vascular bundle, are known as secondary phloem. This is the activity of cambium, and the cambium is there in between xylem and phloem. As we know, this xylem and the phloem, which is firstly produced inside the stem, hence it is primary xylem and the primary phloem, and the cambium that results in the addition of new cells and those cells are of xylem and phloem. The newly formed xylem is known as secondary xylem and the newly formed phloem is known as secondary phloem. Likewise, the process continues. But what is the normal is when the cambium produces more xylem towards xylem side, means towards inner side, towards primary xylem side, and when it produces less amount of phloem, that is newly formed phloem, what we say it as secondary phloem, it is normal. So the cambium, that is vascular cambium, behaves in such a manner that it produces more amount of secondary xylem and less amount of secondary phloem is a normal behavior of cambium, and hence we are saying this growth is a normal secondary growth, and that is possible only because of the normal position and normal behavior of cambium. So this is what about secondary growth and normal secondary growth. Friends, I would like to discuss about abnormal secondary growth. Now, when we have an information about normal secondary growth, how we can say that this is the abnormal? The normal and abnormal functions and behaviors are depending upon cambium, and the position and the behavior of cambium decides whether the cambium is functioning normally or not. And that's why I have discussed now secondary growth in an example of sunflower, and now I will discuss about abnormal secondary growth. If we know the meaning of normal secondary growth, then it becomes easy for us to understand what is abnormal. Now I will tell you about what happens with the cambium. The cambium that is there in between xylem and phloem is known as vascular cambium, because xylem and phloem together we are saying it as vascular tissues. So the abnormal things are decided by two ways. One is the position of cambium, and second is behavior of cambium. Now, where is the position of cambium? It should be in between primary xylem and primary phloem. Now, it is normal, and how the behavior should be? It must produce maximum xylem and minimum phloem. So, if such is the manner of development, what we say it as normal secondary growth. Now, my point is this: how abnormal secondary growth takes place. So that is again depending upon the position of cambium. Now we know the position, if position is changed, instead of in between xylem and phloem, if that is there in the cortex or somewhere else, then we should say even if it behaves normally, it is not normal. And secondly, if the position is normal but behavior is not normal, that is, if the position is in between xylem and phloem and it behaves in such a manner that instead of formation of more secondary xylem, if it produces lesser secondary xylem and more secondary phloem, that means something is wrong. And we say it as abnormal behavior of cambium. So anything that is related with these 2 points, the position and behavior, if anything is abnormal, we should say it as abnormal secondary growth. And we have an example of a well-known plant, and that is Begonia. It is one climbing shrub where we can notice the abnormal secondary growth in the stem of Begonia. So for that, I will show an outline of tiers of stem that shows us in the earlier stages the cambium is normal, but as the growth takes place, the behavior of this cambium is going to change, and that leads to formation of wedge-like structure, and it looks something like this. Now, initially the primary xylem is over here, the primary phloem is here, and now due to such an appearance of wave-like or wedge-like appearance of cambium, vascular cambium, the xylem from this region produces less xylem toward this, and the phloem from this region likewise. So this is the xylem, primary xylem. Now this is producing secondary xylem. The primary xylem is being pushed towards center. Here it is cambium, and the secondary xylem, it is pushed towards here, and this is secondary phloem. Likewise, so initially the cambium is in a circular manner, and during the process of growth something is abnormal. And what is that something matter is the behavior of this cambium, as it possesses wedge-like appearance, and that leads to, instead of forming always secondary xylem in maximum amount, it produces maximum secondary phloem. And from this region, what we get? Secondary phloem in maximum amount, whereas in this region we get secondary xylem in very less amount. So it is very clear that if cambium decides whether that growth is normal, whether that secondary growth is normal or abnormal, and even in this example where the cambium is having its normal position but it is not behaving normally, it has to produce maximum secondary xylem always, but here I have mentioned at these places and these places the cambium behaves abnormally, and it clearly indicates that in some cases the cambium is not behaving normally, and hence we can clearly say that the Begonia like plants shows abnormal secondary growth, and that is because of the behavior of cambium, that is the abnormal behavior of cambium. And this is an example and well-known example of abnormal secondary growth due to abnormal behavior of cambium. Thank you.